Welcome back to another video, guys. I'm Joe with Techternative, and today we're going to be talking about, does a VPN make you safer? Right? The question of, do I need to be running a VPN on my home computer? Do I need to be running a VPN on my phone? What benefits do VPNs provide? And is the idea that VPNs make you safer true? So let's just answer the question right out of the way. No. VPNs do not make you safer for 90% of the people that would be using. 90% of the populace probably is not going to make you any safer, right? The idea that they do is based on people trying to sell you things, right? There is a time and a place for a VPN. What is a VPN? A virtual private network. What does that even mean? So a VPN creates a virtual private network between the device that's running it and the back-end servers. What does that mean? It means that any traffic that your device sends out gets encrypted all the way to that back-end server. Once it reaches that server, it's decrypted and then sent out to the world. So, is that making you safer? I don't believe so. To help better understand what a VPN is and why it doesn't necessarily make you safer, let's hop on over to the computer. Let's draw out what it looks like without a VPN, what it looks like with a VPN, and then you guys can make your own decisions on, do you want to run one or not? Forgive me, I haven't been using this Wacom touchpad much, but let's just get into it. So let's start over here with, let's start from the very beginning. This is talking about like 2001 era, right? Let's just focus on what does the internet traffic look like. So back in the day, when internet was first created, it was not very secure. So let's just break it down. So we have the internet cloud, good old internet, where your ISP lives, your internet service provider who brings your internet in. Most people just have just a regular router with Wi-Fi, antennas here. And then over here, you'll have like your laptop that is running some type of browser, and you're going to, bank.com, right? So then you go into bank.com. What does that mean, right? So early days, internet traffic, your computer makes a call out to the internet, right? I want to go to bank.com. Bank.com lives over here. Has its servers, right? Forwards that traffic. The ISP knows where that goes. It goes over here. It comes back with the good old browser, and now you have your bank account information. $1 million, right? Downside here, back in the day, if you have the good old evil person with evil eyes looking at your traffic, I can see your traffic. So let's break down what that traffic would probably look like. So we have a source IP. We have a destination IP. And then your data, right? There's some other headers like some, TCP and, whatever. Other header. But really, people are looking here. So if this bad actor knows that this destination belongs to bank.com, I'm going to look at that, right? I'm going to look at that traffic and I'm going to see your data. So basically the payload with HTTP, right? HTTP hypertext transfer protocol, what all basic internet protocols run on, right? It's you're pretty much doing this, right? Get me this bank.com URL, right? And inside of here, get me my bank account information. So I'm going to do a get bank.com/account number. However that parses on their side, doesn't matter, right? This is all visible. All this stuff right here
in HTTP is visible. That's not secure. That's not secure at all. So what did they do? They created HTTPS. HTTPS to solve for bad actors being able to see your bank account information, right? So HTTPS is better than HTTP because all this data here is now encrypted. Now let's talk about HTTPS traffic. So same concept, right? We have your internet cloud, you got your router, and you got your laptop. And we'll go back to bank. So now that we have HTTP, we have the source. Again, we'll break down this packet, source, destination, and data. But now we're going to be encrypting that data. How do we encrypt this data? We encrypt it using TLS, transport layer security. Formerly known as SSL, secure socket layer, but this is deprecated. TLS, we can get into 1.2 and 1.3 are pretty much golden versions of TLS. So now when we make a HTTPS request out to bank.com, most places, if you didn't do HTTPS, they're going to redirect you to HTTP, but it doesn't matter. High level. Now, when we do that, we have what's called certificates that are going to provide us a secure medium to build a secure tunnel. So think of HTTPS as building tunnels. Tunnels is going to be the key word moving forward. Tunnels. Remember that word, tunnels. Right? So TLS, certificates. So you've probably heard of certificates. Maybe you'll see the certificate error or anything like that. High level, the browser makes a HTTPS request to bank.com. It's called the TLS handshake, three-way handshake. Upon that three-way handshake, it starts to exchange certificate information. So it gives them the cert, gives you the cert back here. So now you have a cert, and then you can verify it with a trusted cert authority, make sure that the cert is valid. One thing that's cool about certs, especially RSA certs, if you remember that, is the concept of public key and private key. What public and private keys do is once I verify that this cert is valid, right? It's a good cert, check. I then take the public key attached to this cert and I encrypt my data with that cert. And the cool thing about public-private keys is that only the private key can decrypt the data using the public. So you encrypt with the public key, the user encrypts with the public key, and then the server decrypts with the private key. So unless you have this private key, you cannot decrypt this data. So I send basically a password with the public key encryption, and then bank.com takes its private key and decrypts it, erases that, gone, and now I see the password, and then I can use this password to then build a secure tunnel between the user here and the bank.com over here. So now that I have the tunnel configured, I can pass data through that tunnel securely. So what does securely mean, right? Well, let's go back to the source, destination, and data. So my source is me. This is my public IP address that I got from my ISP. And then destination is bank.com. So that's going to be some IP like 2.2.2.2, right? That's not it. And I'm going to be 1.1.1.1. So on each time you call bank.com, your ISP and all the routers in between the ISP and these servers over here are going to see that, okay, I need to get back to 1.1.1, which is me, and I'm 2.2.2. So that's all visible, right? It's all visible. I can see, anybody that's here can see that you're going from your source to your destination IP. Now with TLS and now that's encrypted tunnel, that data is encrypted. So this data here from your web browser is going to flow through this tunnel securely, and then it's decrypted here. The servers can work on it, re-encrypt it, and go back through the tunnel, back to the browser. That way, those wandering eyes can't see into that tunnel. Yeah, it can see your source and destination, but it can't see that data. And that's what we want. We want to be secure there. So how does adding in a VPN differ when talking about security, and does that make you more secure? VPN tunnels. Let's talk about them. So it's the same kind of concept as a TLS tunnel. That's why I brought it up. So we have the internet, right? Internet, your router, and your laptop. But now we have Proton VPN servers. We'll just go Proton because that's who I use for the most part. So we have these Proton VPN servers out here in internet land, and it's going to be the same basic concept of building the tunnel as in the TLS tunnel. So on this little interface on our laptop, we'll build a secure tunnel through the ISP, through a router, through the internet, over to Proton VPN servers. So what does this look like with internet traffic? So if we think back to what our HTTPS traffic looked like, we have source, dest, and data going out to bank.com. So we have 1.1.1.1 going to 2.2.2.2 and our data encrypted by TLS. So now with the Proton VPN and our VPN to our laptop, same basic concept, right? So we have source, dest, and data, right? Source is still going to be me. It's still going to be a 1.1.1, but the destination now is going to be Proton VPN. So 3.3.3.3. And the data is going to be this data. So all the data that we just did in HTTPS is now going to get encrypted and inputted into the data location for the Proton VPN. So all of this data is then encrypted here, slapped with the destination as source IP, sent through the tunnel, right? And then Proton VPN decrypts this data and can see into, we want to go to bank.com, right? The only person that, or the only identity that can encrypt and decrypt are Proton VPN and myself. So I encrypt where I want to go, and I want to go to bank.com. I encrypt it into the Proton VPN tunnel, and then I slap a source and destination on it. My source and the destination, which is Proton VPN. From Proton VPN, once it strips down this encryption box, it can see, okay, source is coming from Joe, and Joe wants to go to bank.com. So Proton VPN will then send it on our behalf through the internet over to bank.com. Who, and this is important too, who does bank.com think sent that traffic? Is it Joe? Did Joe send that traffic? Absolutely not. Bank.com thinks that Proton VPN sent that traffic, because once it decrypts this source and destination packet and sees that it wants to go to bank.com, it replaces the source as the IP of Proton VPN. So it's like Proton VPN sent that packet over to bank.com. So why is all this beneficial, right? The first beneficial is if we look at the destination. So it hides true destination from my ISP. So if my ISP is looking at my data with big ol' eyes, right? Big ol' eyes right here. Looking at my data, it thinks, okay, Joe is sending data to Proton VPN. Can't see this data. As far as it's concerned, it's okay. I know that it's sending traffic to Proton VPN, which probably means that it's encrypted in some type of WireGuard or OpenVPN tunnel, but it doesn't know what that data is. So it hides the true destination because it cannot see that inside of this data packet, I want to go to 2.2.2.2. Flip side, once it gets to Proton VPN and go out, bank.com sees that the source is Proton VPN. It knows that it's going to me. It knows it's going to itself, right? The destination is itself. The account data, because it's going to then decrypt the data over here, right? Back over here, because that's still the encryption here and here are still relevant as the HTTPS traffic that we talked about in that tunnel. That tunnel is just built into this tunnel, right? So it can decrypt this data, and it knows that it's going to my account, but it thinks the source is Proton VPN. So again, why is this beneficial? Again, we'll talk about hiding true destination. First one. So if instead of going to bank.com, I want to go to torrent.com. And for those that know what a torrent is, you'll understand. So in order to go to torrent.com, I want to make sure that my ISP doesn't know that I'm going to torrent.com. So I then encrypt that data going to torrent.com, right? 4.4.4.4 inside of my Proton VPN tunnel, 3.3.3. So the ISP thinks, oh, he's just going to Proton VPN. I don't really actually know what he's doing. So I'm not going to throttle him. I'm not going to block him. I'm not going to do anything XYZ. So the ISP has no idea that data is going to torrent.com. Vice versa, torrent.com doesn't see my public IP address. It sees Proton VPN's public IP address. So then my side is safe. So if I want to hide my true destination from my ISP, I might use a VPN. There's one advantage to the VPN. Now, on the flip side, if I was going out to, I don't know, some UK site, if I want to go to the UK site, and it's getting kind of messy here, an UK site, unfortunately, only allows IP addresses from the UK. What I can do is then I can select my Proton VPN server. Instead of going in the US, I can say, nope, I want to go to Proton VPN UK. So then I reestablish a new tunnel going to Proton VPN UK, and from whatever UK website I'm going to thinks that my IP is from the UK. So it's going to allow me to go to that website. How is this beneficial? Let's say you have, again, you want to watch movies in Netflix. And then back in the day, this used to be the case. You could connect to a Netflix, or you can connect to a Proton VPN server in a different country, and then get the shows and movies that that has availability in the Netflix in that country. So you can swap where you're located. Now you can't do that a lot now because it kind of tracks you differently, and it makes sure that you guys come from a different IP. But back in the day, you could just do that. Like, now I'm in the UK, now I can get all these UK shows. So that's another reason that VPNs are beneficial, to hide true destination. So the two here, two benefits that I can think of: hiding true destination and true source. So you can hide the true destination from your ISP, and you can hide true source from receiving server. Whatever, doesn't matter. Does that inherently make it more safe? No, because your data, the important data, is still encrypted, right? So the only real benefit to a VPN is being anonymous. But it's anonymous to who, right? Do you want to be anonymous to your ISP by hiding your true destination? Or do you want to be anonymous to the server and hide your true source, right? But you're still not totally anonymous, because Proton VPN, if you're still going out to Proton VPN, they have your data. They know that you went to UK server. They have that data. You're not going to be hiding from Proton VPN. You're just not going to. That's not a thing, right? Now, there are places that say that they secure your data, or they won't work for the, or cooperate with foreign entities if you're using a company that's in Sweden, for example, like Molvad or something like that, who say that they have all these privacy rules in place, but really that data's out there. So it's, who do you want to be actually hiding from? Who are you hiding from? So those are the main benefits of a VPN. Okay, to recap, right? Are VPNs making you safer? For the average Joe, me, not me, I'm not the average Joe. Maybe you were the average Joe. It's not making you inherently safer, right? It's giving you an additional layer of security in the sense that now the true destination is hidden from point A to point B. So you cannot see that data between point A and point B. So it's just obfuscating where you're actually headed. So if you wanted to do things that are malicious, you could possibly do that. Now, this is not including VPNs back to your house or VPNs to your work or XYZ. There's different reasons why you would use a VPN. For those reasons, to get on the network, that makes your network available if you're off-site. Not what we're talking about. We're talking about, are VPNs inherently safer than not using one? And the answer is no. For the average user, your data is secure. It just is, right? Using TLS 1.2 and 1.3, 1.3 is even more secure because it doesn't use certificates. It doesn't use RSA. I didn't get into that because it's just a little bit harder to show on the screen, but they're not safer. Do I use one? Of course. Do I use one all the time? Absolutely not. I have certain devices on my network that are always on VPN. They're always going through a secure VPN tunnel, but then I have other devices that don't need to. I don't need that additional layer of security. So they're lying to you to say, to make a few bucks. VPNs are not going to give you that's make you feel safer. Somebody's holding your data. It's, who do you want to hide it from, right? So do you want to hide it from your ISP, or do you want to hide it from nobody, right? Basically, that's all you're going to be able to hide it from. Because once it gets to that VPN server, it's free game. Now, there's different VPN services that offer different security levels, like, oh, we don't save your data, we don't do XYZ. But they could. They could. If the US government broke down the doors and tried to steal all their databases, are they wiping all those databases at each and every transaction that you make? I don't know. How much are they actually saving, and how much are they not going to cooperate with federal investigations or any investigations if something went awry, right? They're not inherently safe. They're good. They have a purpose, but they are not safe. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the whiteboarding, I like to whiteboard because I can visualize better. If you like any of that, please let me know down in the comments. If I've missed something or misspoke and you want me to clarify on anything, or if you want more in-depth kind of drawn out videos like this, just let me know down in the comment section. I appreciate you guys stopping in. I'll see you guys in the next video.